So today's Daf Yomi is Bava Basra Tzadi Bava Basra 96, and we're going to start on Tzadi Hey Amabeis on 95b, six lines from the bottom. The Daf Yomi is dedicated for Shmir for the Chayalim. That's all for the Shvuyim and the Yeshua for Am Yisrael in this Eis Tzara. Daf Yomi starts on the bottom of 95b, six lines from the bottom, where Rav Yehuda says, I'm a Rav Yehuda. Hi, man. So we're going to have a dispute. The Gemara tells us a dispute between Rav Yehuda and Rav Chisda about the yayin hanimkar b'chanos. So the argument is about the wine, or on that bottom of 95b, the wine that's sold in the shop, which is beginning to sour. So that wine is inferior quality, but Rav Yehuda still says mevarchanu of bori pregafen. Make a bori pregafen. The normal bracha you make on wine, it's wine. So you make a wine bracha. The Rav Chisda says, Amar Gabe Chamar de Ikrim Lamali. He says, no, if your wine is starting to spoiled and turn to sour, to vinegar, why would you make a guffin? You make a shahako on such a bracha. So the Gemara says, Meisvei, let's try and prove who's correct. The Brisa says, Al Pasha Ipshav Al Yain Shehikrim. You going? I'll give you a big hug of Israel. Shikoyach, have a good time, drive safely. Well, it's such a geschmack to have you here. I'll see you on Yom Kippur. See you on Yom Kippur. So, alrighty, shikayach. Drive safely. Text me when you get home, and tell them at the veggie heaven, shvach. Alrighty, so the Gemara brings a contradiction. So if you have the bread that's moldy, or the wine that's sour, or the cooked food that's starting to go, you say shahakol niyabidvaro. You say shahakol. So this is a big question on Rav Yehuda. Why does Rav Yehuda say you say bori priagafen? Amar Azvid, Moda Rav Yehuda beportzima the mizdabe nakarnasa. Rav Yehuda would say, listen, when you have this stuff that's sold on the corners, that level, that's what the price is referring to. The stuff that's made from the shvach grapes, it's going sour. That stuff, the portzima, it doesn't really, the portzima is Rashbam says, yayin ra, that's yayin ra yoser meosanim karbachanus. Now, this is the worse than the store. This is the stuff they don't even sell in the stores. It's not FDA approved. They can't only get into the stores. They have to go to the street where people buy anything. So that's what the price is referring to. So it's not a question on Rav Yehuda. Rav Yosef, Rav Yehuda, Rav Chisda. Rav Yehuda says bari pregafen on the wine that's souring, and Rav Chisda says shakol. Mark Mansfir way. Who do you hold like? Rav Yosef says masnisa yadana. I know a brisa. He says I have a brisa. And I'll quote the brisa for you, and then we'll see what the halacha is. What does the brisa say? Titania. Says the brisa, bodek asachavis. So the halacha is, as a background, that you're not allowed to take a truma from vinegar onto wine. It has to be wine onto wine. So let's say a person is selling wine and he has another barrel which he designates to take truma from. So this person is taking truma from this other barrel of wine, but he checks it and he has a lot of customers coming in that day. And every time he comes in, he designates another part of that barrel. But then he checks the barrel after a while and he sees it's vinegar. So now, how far back do we say that the stuff he sold was not tithed? That bodek asachavis, it was mafresh truma. Somebody checks his barrel to make sure that he could take truma from it as wine. And after he does that, he goes a while. And then after a while, he discovers that wine that he was designating as truma actually turns out to be vinegar. It turns out to be vinegar. So we say, kol gimel yom, for all 3 days, vadai. All 3 days, it's certain. From then on, it's a doubt. And if it's a doubt, you have to take the truma out of a doubt. Question is, what was this price is saying? What does it mean all 3 days is certain? And from then on, it's a doubt. So what does that even mean? Says the Gemara as follows. My kamer, Rabbi Yochanan, Hachi kamer. This is what it means. Kol gimel yamim arishonim. The first 3 days, after you checked it. For wine, the first 3 days we're going to say is Vadai. The first 3 days after you check it for wine, it's for sure wine. Mikan v'elach, from that point on, suffix, meaning the first 3 days it's for sure wine, because the wine, if you checked it, it takes 3 days to turn from wine into vinegar. Because first it smells like vinegar, and then it actually tastes like vinegar. So the first 3 days after you check it, it's for sure wine, and after that, anything you sold after that and you designated as truma wouldn't work. After that, it's a suffix. Okay, boys, let me give a big shkoyach to you. Thank you for coming. We're so happy. Come again all the time. We love it when you come. Shkoyach. Shkoyach. Baruch Hashem.
It's taking this long to happen.
No. Come again. Love it when you're here. Drive safely. Don't let anybody speed, and drive very carefully. Okay. So we say, what? Basically, yeah. There's no doubt in my mind that they're better drivers than me. That's for sure. But that's not enough of a threshold. Yeah, way too low. So that's what Rabbi Yochanan says, that the first 3 days is for sure wine, and then on it's a down. My timer, because the wine goes bad from the top of the barrel. My team, he tasted it. V'lo'akar wasn't sour. Okay, so therefore this proves im tim salomer basar the te'ima akar haverecha chalav. So if you want to say that you basar the te'ima akar, if you want to say that after you tasted it, right after you tasted it went bad, have a recha chalav atame chamra, then it would smell like vinegar and taste like wine. We call recha chalav atame chamra chamra. So anytime you smell like vinegar and taste like wine, it's wine. So this would seem to be that even if the wine is beginning to sour, it's wine, which would seem to be like Rav Yehuda. But Rav Yeshua Melevi says in this brisa, he explains it. Kol Gimel Yamim Achronim Vadai Chometz. The final 3 days, it's for sure vinegar. Mikan U'awan Safik. From before that, it is a doubt. My time. Chamra mitaitai akar. The wine goes bad from the bottom. Vemar akar v'avadaita. You could say maybe it went bad and he didn't know. Vim tim somer meilai akar. And if you want to say it went bad from the top, v'time v'lo akar, and he tasted it and it wasn't bad. Dilma basar de te'ima akar. Maybe we follow the way it after you tasted it went bad and have a recha chalav atame chamra. But then in that case, the smell would be vinegar and the taste would be wine. The recha chalav atame chamra chala. And if you say that the smells like vinegar and tastes like wine, that's vinegar. And so therefore, that's going to be like, presumably like Rav Chisto, who says it's shahakol. You got a question, Moshe? Yeah. So therefore, the Romai, this most explain this as the scholars of the Durham, the scholars of the South, Masnim Mishmei Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, Rishonim Vadayai, and they learned a different way. They said the first 3 days is for sure wine. Achronim, the last 3 days is Vaday Chometz, it's for sure vinegar. And Tzayim, it's the middle days that's the suffix. That's the doubt. So the Gemara says, Hagufa Kasha, this is itself a contradiction. Amris, Rishonim Vadayai, and he said the first 3 days is for sure wine. Why? Amarecha chalav atame chamra. Chamra. We see from here that if it smells like vinegar and tastes like wine on the basis of the first 3 days, it's still wine. Chamra. Other amris. And then we said, achronim vadei chometz, that the last 3 days it's for sure vinegar. Amarecha chalav atame chamra. Chalav, which implies that if it smells like vinegar and tastes like wine, it's vinegar. So which one are you asking? Like, what are the people from the Durham saying? They're contradicting. What is the halacha if it smells like vinegar and tastes like wine? So he says, could go into ashtaka chala siftika. So he says, no, when do we say it's for sure vinegar? When it's a very strong vinegary taste. And so therefore, that's clearly that before those 3 days it went bad. So who did Rav Yosef rule like? Come on, Pashalai. Puigi barav Mari v'Rav Zvid. Chanamak Rav Yochanan, Chanamak Rav Yeshua ben Levi. So one says like Rav Yochanan, one says like Rav Yeshua ben Levi. But in the end, it didn't tell us who's the halacha like between Rav Yehuda and Rav Chisda. So I don't really. It's not clear from the sources. We could look up, and now we the Hilchasa. We could look up who's the halacha like in this case. If the wine's beginning to go bad, what bracha do you make on it? Well, first of all, if it tastes exactly like vinegar, you make either no bracha, because you don't make a bracha if you drink the vinegar, and so therefore that's the whole question. So okay, so what does he say here? Reicho chalach v'taimei chamra. So that's the way the halacha is recording the Shulchan Aruch. If there's wine that's beginning to go bad, and it smells like vinegar, it tastes like wine, you basically make a bori pragafen. But if people don't drink it because it's too vinegary, then you make a shahakol. But if it's not actually vinegar, then if it's actually vinegar, you don't make any bracha at all. So you say if people don't want to drink it because it's vinegary, then you make a shahakol. People won't drink it. Yeah, then you make. Of course. Well, I probably won't know the answer, but okay.
You're supposed to say bracha before you taste it.
Well, how do you know? Well, maybe somebody else tasted it, or maybe you smell it.
If you said shahakol when you drink some,
then they have to make a bar praga, and that tastes like wine. Yeah, then you didn't make the right bracha. Presumably, because you didn't make the right bracha there.
Taste it. If you don't like it, you can spit it. You're not maybe you taste less than you use.
No, you have to make a bracha. I don't know. And any taste. No, I wasn't saying that, but any taste, and even an amount, there's no shear for making the bracha on a food beforehand. So you'd have to make the bracha on any amount. But if you just take it and spit it out, but then just maybe you don't have to make a bracha under those circumstances, but then you're wasting the food. So that no, I'm just saying. So then you're saying to swish it and spit to see if it's good. I don't know. I don't know. You're raising a very good point. I'm not sure the answer in that question. I have to look at it. Yeah. If you're not sure if you made a bracha on it or not. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, here, I don't know. I don't think it applies here. I don't know. No, it should apply here in general. My father is saying that it says suffix brachos, you don't say a bracha, but that's whether or not you said a bracha, but not if you're not sure if this requires a bracha. But I think why should there be a difference? No, Meir is bringing a very good point. If that's the normal way in which you taste it, so then that wouldn't be the Baal Tashchis. But then the point is that do you have to make a bracha just on tasting, even if you don't swallow it? But you have so that's a question. But you're getting benefit from it by putting it in your mouth, but you're not eating it. So you should make a bracha on that also. Like why? Presumably, I'm just thinking. You have to look it up, but you make a bracha even if you smell something. No, because that's what I was saying to Jeff. The bracha is even on a mashu, even on any amount you make the bracha. Also, practically speaking, if you just like even when you brush your teeth, a little bit goes down. You're going to be eating a little bit, but we have to look up the bracha here. What? That's not a food, right? No, no, that was not my point. My point was even if you're just swirling it around, but if you can just Google, Jeff, you could see making a bracha on tasting but not eating the afternoon. But we'll see what they say. But of course,
what if you make the wrong bracha?
You make the wrong bracha. Presumably, you have to make another bracha. But sometimes, if you make the wrong bracha, you don't have to make another bracha because some brachas are included. No, I'm saying like if you make a bracha on Adama when it's ha'etz, then it's included because the ha'etz comes from the ground. But if you make ha'etz when it's mezonos, then it's not good enough.
Your mind is made up. Somebody brings it to the whole towards the mind. In your mind, it is that I'm not going to drink this or buy it or do anything with it unless it's proper. Okay? So now you make the bracha, you swish it, you spit it out. So now you made a bracha with a leftover.
That's another problem. Yeah.
Not everybody drinks wine, but there's still people that really believe Sunnah should have wine, and they do this consistently. They end up with a lot of bad bracha.
Okay, so now we go to very good point, Meyer. I have to look up Meyer. I just don't know. I have to look up the halachos on that. But thank you it's a very good point. Okay, Itmar Amochar Chavis. Next case, Amochar Chavis Yayin Lechavero. Somebody sells a barrel of wine to his friend, V'chmitza, and the wine turns into vinegar. Amarav Kol Gimel Yamim Marishonim. So okay, you bought the wine. You go to Mr. Winery. And what do they say, Jeff? You find the answer? No, okay, I'll look it up after. So somebody sells the wine to his friend, and then he gets home, and it's vinegar. So Amarav called Gimel Yamim Marishonim B'Rishus Mocher. The first 3 days, it's the seller's fault. Seller assumes responsibility for 3 days because it takes 3 days for wine to turn to vinegar. From that point on, it's the problem of the purchaser. Rab gives you a 3-day warranty. Shmuel Amar Chamra Kasba de Mari Shavar. Shmuel says no. He's not responsible. The seller's not responsible, even though it turned into vinegar while it's still in the barrel of the seller, because he says the wine turned bad on your back. Meaning on your back it went bad. Meaning it's your bad luck. It was your sin, and that's what he says. But I was also thinking like that. I said upstairs we could say our shoulders caused the problem. Don't always put it on somebody else. Shoulder the blame. Rav Yosef Rav Yosef ruled like Rav when it comes to beer, and he said it's the seller's responsibility. Kavasi de Shmuel b'chamra, but by the Shmuel when it comes to wine, Milchos kavasi de Shmuel. The law is like Shmuel. You sell it, it's yours. I'm done. Dan Rabbanan echad shechar tamarim, ve'echad shechar saorim, ve'echad shemra yayin. So whether you have barley beer or date beer, or Shimmer Yain is the wine that's made from the grape skins. Mevarchan Alein Shahakol Niebizvaro. Those are Shahakol, and not Ha'etz or Agafen or Mizonos, because these things don't have the importance of the fruit, and so therefore you don't make the same blessing that you wouldn't make on them as you make on the fruit. Acher Momrim, others say Shemarim Sheyesh Bam Tam Yayin. If you have the skins that have the taste of wine, so Acherim say you make the bar pregafen on the wine. Rabbi Rav Yosef Damar Travayo Eino Acherim. They say the law is not like the Acherim. Amarava the Kuli Alma. So again, what's the halacha? The halacha there, Rabbi Rav Yosef said the law is not like the Acherim. Who say you make a bar pregafen on the wine that you make out of these grape skins. Everybody says if you pour in 3 cups of water and it comes out with 4 when you make it with the grape skins, that's chamru. Everybody says that that's wine because you poured in 3 and came out 4. And Rava Tameh, and Rava follows his consistent logic because Rava says that's how they used to make wine. Dama Rava kol chamra. Rava says every wine below dare al chad. Every wine that you make you don't mix in 1 cup of water with 3 cups of 1 cup of wine with 3 cups of water, that's not wine. So he says that's the ratio. No, that's how they used to make the wine back there. But Rama tlasa v'asa tlasa, but let's say you put in 3 cups of water and comes out 3 cups of wine after it's mixed with the grapes. And everybody would say that's just not wine, that's water, you make a shahakol. Ki puigi, where is there this argument between Acherim and the Tanakama? Where is there an argument? The argument is the Rama Tlasa Asa Tlasa Upalga. You poured in 3 cups of water and it came out 3.5 cups. 3.5 cups of wine. The Rabbanan Savri, the Rabbanan are the position, the Tlasa Ayil, Tlasa Nafak. The Rabbanan are the position, you poured in 3 cups of water and 3 cups of wine came out. Pashle Palga. And then there was another half on top of what he put in, and that came from the wine that was in the skins. Upalga bashita, palga maya. and this mixture of half a cup of wine opposite 6 halves of a cup of water is lo kumhu. That's not wine, that's water. And so therefore, the Rabbanan of the position that if you comes out with 3.5 cups, that's a half to 6, it's nothing. And it's water. The Chum say that if you put in 3 cups of water, train upalganafik. Went out from this 2.5 cups, 2.5 cups of water, and the third half cup was absorbed by the skins. Pashle kuza, so there is an additional cup that comes out from the wine. The kuza but betray upalka, and if you have one wine with 2.5 cups of water, that's chamer ma'alyu. So therefore the Acherim is saying that you make a blessing on wine. And so that's the circumstance. Now the Gemara says about a third case that and Rava says, so the Gemara says, we don't understand we don't even understand what's Rava even talking about here. Because would there even be a dispute that if you put in 3 cups of water and then it turned out to be 3.5 cups, that anybody would say it's not water? V'atanan. Anybody would say it's not wine. V'atanan. But then we learn in the Mishnah, Hamismaded. Let's say you put in wine, we're on the top of 97a. Let's say you put wine into the skins. V'nasa mayim b'mida. Excuse me, you put water into the wine skins. V'nasa mayim b'mida. And you put in a specific amount of water. And you had not yet separated the truma or the ma'aser. Umatza kadei midaso. And then when you filter out the skins, you found that it's the exact same amount of wine as water, exact same amount of liquid as water that you initially put in. Potter. You don't have to make a truma ma'aser on what you find, because even though the water got the taste from this wine, which was not tied, nevertheless, since it didn't add anything in the quality, it's not wine, it's water. And so therefore it's not obligated. Whereas Rabbi Yehuda Mechayev, Rabbi Yehuda says, no, you still have to take the Truma Meiser there, because since it changed its appearance. And also change the taste, even though it didn't change the quality. Hold on, let's just get this. So when are they arguing? Only if it's the same amount of liquid that comes out. But when it's a different type of liquid that comes out, then they're not going to argue. Then everybody would be, if it's a different measure, everybody would say that for sure it's going to be considered wine there, and then you would have to take a Truma Meiser, and you'd also make a Bari Priya Guffin. So it says, it's a question on Rava, who says that even when you add it on just a half a cup of water, it's not half a cup. When it comes out with an additional half cup of wine, a half cup of wine, it's still going to be a sha'akal. Where it says, no, who I didn't feel the yoter mechtei midasa. No, in that case, between the Tanna Kama and Rabbi Yehuda, they would still be arguing if it ended up with more liquid. That there would still be this argument that Rabbi Yehuda says you have to do truma, and the Rabbanan say you don't. But the reason why they're arguing there is Rabbi Yehuda, to show the strength of Rabbi Yehuda. He says even if it's the exact same amount of liquid, you're still not going to be chayiv the truma ma'aser under those circumstances. Okay, so we'll stop the recording here. We'll stop here. Jeff has a question. Jeff, what is your question?